All right, we're back with Governor Cuomo. Can I say that I am a Cuomo-sexual?
There's a group of women who came out and they said, we're falling in love with Cuomo. And I said, well, yeah, everyone should be a Cuomo-sexual in that way.
I don't miss a press conference. When Cuomo's on, I'm like, got to go see my celebrity crush right now, sorry.
These feelings are perfectly natural. Many Americans experience moments of being at least Andrew curious, if not fully Cuomo-sexual.
Last spring, when the virus was new and out of control, and the people of New York were frightened at its relentless spread, one man took it upon himself to use technology to spread reliable information and tell citizens what to do. I have many friends in California who admit that what they know from Governor Cuomo and his explanations, that somebody had a plan.
Governor, I want to say this book is absolutely fantastic. I think it's just a guide to how to deal with this pandemic. But let me ask you this. There has been a lot of confusion about an alleged March 25th order that directed nursing homes to accept, in New York, infected COVID patients, possibly leading to the death of more than 6,000 seniors. Now, you say in your book,
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is finally facing the heat for his botched and criminally negligent coronavirus response policies. Yet no one seems to be asking why Cuomo and select governors made the fateful decisions that led to the excess deaths and the cover-up campaigns of tens of thousands of senior citizens in New York and elsewhere across the United States. After being awarded an Emmy and writing a book on his supposedly heroic response to the pandemic, Cuomo is finally receiving the very necessary inquiries into his handling of the crisis.
Well, was it a Cuomo cover-up? That is a burning question today after a top Cuomo aide appears to admit that the governor's office intentionally delayed releasing COVID death numbers at nursing homes.
The governor's administration was intentionally underreporting deaths the entire time.
His top aide, Melissa DeRosa, telling Democratic lawmakers this week on a private call, we froze, concerned that the information was going to be used against us.
There were nearly double the number of COVID deaths at nursing homes and other long-term facilities in New York than the state health department had initially reported. This after last year, Governor Cuomo mandated nursing homes accept COVID-positive patients in an attempt to free up much-needed hospital beds.
Cuomo is perhaps the most egregious example of abuse and neglect, given his refusal to use the Javits Center or a Navy hospital ship. He is far from the only governor who executed the nursing home death warrants. The common thread seen in the United States is the delegation of state policy to prediction modeling forecasts from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation.
IHME.
IHME, a Washington state-based institution that is wholly controlled and funded to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
With current investments in combating disease, we can expect only minimal progress. By cutting resources, we will no doubt have setbacks. But by investing more, we will advance our progress, reducing the harm of deadly diseases, or even eradicating them. IHME delivers on its commitment to provide the world's most complete and timely estimates on health. Those estimates and our analysis help people live longer, healthier lives.
In March and early April, politicians were informed by the modeling experts at Gates-funded IHME that their hospitals were about to be completely overrun by coronavirus patients. Modelers from the IHME claimed this massive surge would cause hospitals to run out of life-saving equipment in a matter of days, not weeks or months. Time was of the essence, and now was the time for rapid decision-making, the modelers claimed. Cuomo made clear that his policy decisions were based off of the IHME model.
There is a group that is funded by the Gates Foundation. Thank you very much, Bill Gates.
Cuomo said on April 1st in discussing ICU needs and how he was using Gates models to make other healthcare policy decisions.
How many lives lost? There's only one model that we look at that has the number of projected deaths, which is the IHME model, which is funded by the Gates Foundation, and we thank the Gates Foundation for the national service that they've done.
In an April 9th briefing, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer referred to the IHME model in order to project deaths and the PPE resources needed for the supposed surge.
So I want to talk a little bit about models of what could happen in Michigan over the next couple of months. Now, on this graph, the purple line is the IHME from the University of Washington model that the White House has been working off of. It assumes a very high level of adherence with sheltering in place, Wuhan, China style.
It was the same story with the government of Pennsylvania. The PA Health Department exclusively uses the IHME models to forecast coronavirus outcomes. Governor Phil Murphy, another nursing home death warrant participant, used IHME models to navigate the state's policy response. It wasn't just state governors relying on this data. Federal bureaucrats Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx, both of whom have substantial ties to the Gates network, used the IHME COVID-19 forecasting models, which Birx endorsed specifically as the best prediction modeling outfit, to make policy recommendations to states.
There's a new website up. It comes from Chris Murray out in Washington State. It's on the IME website, IMHE website.
IHME. In her White House briefings, Birx, who simultaneously had a seat on the board of a Gates-funded institution, almost exclusively relied on IHME models to project outcomes. Some people defending Dr. Birx haven't followed this debacle from the beginning. Birx, tied to IHME propaganda operation, should have been fired after presenting Murray and Ferguson models to Trump in late March. She and Fauci told him to shut down economy. These models, and the policy decisions that were made by relying on them, set off a chain of events that led to indefinite lockdowns, complete business closures, statewide curfews, and most infamously, the nursing home death warrants.
Good morning. Good to see all of you. All smiling faces. Almost all smiling faces.
States across the nation went to extremes, resorting to full bunker mode while waiting for bodies to start dropping in the streets. But the IHME modeling never panned out. Hospital capacity was never threatened. Most states that had created surge capacity, pop-up healthcare centers, never even used these facilities. IHME, for its part, regularly adjusts its models and has never acknowledged their routine failures to forecast outcomes. Bill Gates has never discussed the catastrophic failures of his prized health metrics forecasting organization and how it has contributed to the suffering of millions of Americans. Instead, he has seamlessly washed his hands of COVID mania and has moved on to demanding that the Western world sacrifice itself in the name of the latest crisis, that is climate change.
If our goal was simply to emit 10% less greenhouse gas, you can imagine trying to limit those activities. But because we need to get to zero emissions by 2050, we have to come up with an alternate way. It's an all-out effort, like a world war, but it's us against greenhouse gases.
In December, however, Melinda Gates acknowledged that we hadn't really thought through the economic impacts of demanding that people stay locked in their houses indefinitely. The IHME models that demanded lockdowns and other insane restrictions relied entirely on sketchy COVID-19 data coming from the city of Wuhan, China. The early statistics concerning deaths, hospitalizations, and overall age stratification have not come close to matching the actual data on the virus. For example, IHME used a 3+% death rate when the real number from COVID-19 is only around 0.1%. IHME's risk projections, which they presented as sound science, were all incredibly overinflated. The buck does indeed stop with the elected leaders who made the fateful decisions to send sick COVID patients into nursing homes, lock down their states, and mask up their citizens in perpetuity. But that's only half of the story. The bad data they used almost exclusively came from the Gates network, which has trafficked in pseudoscience and has demonstrated complete incompetence and reckless forecasting since the beginning of last year.
Thank you for believing in me and giving me support good Lord knows I needed it. And don't worry, I'm not going anywhere.
That means we need to transform the way we do almost everything. Our commitment to developing these innovations will mean the difference between a future where everyone can live a healthy, productive life and one where we're constantly dealing with the human and financial crises at a historic scale.